Thanks for tuning into our seller interview series. Up to date, we've got an e-commerce and dropshipping site for sale. Created in October 2014, the business makes $6,032 per month in net profit, and the listing number for this site is 40656. Now, we do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the sites they're looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making a buying decision. We've got the seller with us today to go through the business and cover everything from niche selection to traffic and monetization. Thanks for coming on, John.
No problems, Greg. Good to be here.
Yeah, for sure, man. Before we dive deep into the questions here, just to give our listeners out there a quick summary of the business. Like I mentioned, it was built in October 2014 as a monthly revenue of $45,580. The expenses are sitting at $39,548 with that total net profit of $6,032. And that is over a 6-month average. With the sale, obviously the domain is included, the Shopify site, and any paid apps the buyer wishes to retain, the eBay store, social media properties such as Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, Google+, and LinkedIn, as well as the pay-per-click accounts for AdWords and Facebook and our Gmail business accounts. So John, can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses? Is this kind of your first business, or have you been at the game for a while?
This actually was my first business, Greg. I've been involved with others since starting this one, but this really was the first one that I started. I guess I started this when I was working full-time in a more traditional job, and I built this business to get out of that work and work for myself.
Wow, that's awesome. Obviously, it seems like it has worked, so that's great.
Yeah, it has worked. It has worked. It's worked well. So I think sort of for the first 12 months that I had this store after opening it, I was still working, full-time in another job. But as it's grown, I've been able to transition out of that. And this, with a few other things I'm doing, has allowed me to make that lifestyle change.
That's fantastic. That's great to hear, man. It's rare that a person's first business actually gets them out of the job. So that's great. How did you come up with the idea to start this one in particular?
Yeah, well, at the time, I just wanted to get started with business, and I guess I was looking for something that would have, a reasonably low entry cost, but have the potential to make some decent sales and profits. And dropshipping was on my radar, and I just went through a process of selecting a niche. And, I think with this one, certainly there were some factors that stood out about it that really made it appealing to me, being that are products that most people have in their home, and most people have more than one in their home. There's a great range of prices on these products, good range of margins as well. And people often buy more than one of these products at a time, which was, and we have a good amount of repeat business as well, which was a big plus for me. And also I did a bit of an analysis of the market, and I got the feeling that there was an opportunity to do something a bit different to what other online retailers were doing.
Oh, that's fantastic. So for someone out there looking at this business, and let's say they're not very familiar with online business, they might not even know what dropshipping really is. Could you just briefly describe what dropshipping is and how your site's making money?
Yeah, absolutely. So dropshipping, for most intents and purposes, is pretty similar to more traditional e-commerce. So, you manage a website that's selling products, you do your customer service, market those products. Where it differs, though, is that you don't actually hold any stock physically. So when a customer places an order, you take the payment, you do any customer service that's necessary, and then you place an order for those products with the supplier, and they ship those products directly from their warehouse to the customer.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good synopsis of it. It is a really cool business model for sure. Why are you selling the business? I imagine the business is relatively easy to manage, or is there another reason why you're selling the business?
The business is quite easy to manage because I've actually got 2 employees who do 90% of the work at the moment, and they're based in the Philippines, and they will, if the buyer wants, transition along with the business to the new owner. I'm actually selling at this point, though, because I've got other business opportunities that I would like to pursue, and I need a bit of capital to get those off the ground. And on a personal level, I actually have some fairly urgent home renovations I need to do to make my house safe for small children. So I need some extra funds to get that done as well.
I understand about babyfying the house. My brother, he has two nephews. It's amazing all the stuff you have to do to make the house okay for those children to be in when they're young, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But that's cool, man. A lot of people, they do end up selling businesses for, capital to invest in other projects, so that makes sense. And that's cool that you're willing to give the two Filipinos staff members over to you. What do those two staff members do, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, look, they actually do a lot. So one of them focuses on our customer service and administration, and she answers the phone, all email, the online chat that runs on the website. She also processes all of our orders. And so that's, accepting payments from customers, placing orders with suppliers and managing the shipping of those orders. Any other general, administrative tasks that might come up with the website. The other employee focuses more on our marketing side. So he's doing things like, managing our social media accounts. And at the moment, he's working a lot in outreach to professionals in the industry that these products fit into to drive some leads into the business. I guess the business sells to retail customers, but there is also a large business to business aspect of it with interior designers and architects.
No, that's pretty cool. So you're kind of approaching both sides of the market then.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do put in a lot of work at the moment into reaching those professionals through LinkedIn, for example, and then moving them into our system.
Have you found any of the B2B outreach bearing any fruit? Has grown the size of the store at all?
Yeah, it definitely has. I think certainly in the last probably 4 or 5 months, we've seen a gradual increase there. And the benefit of the B2B side of things is that the order size from B2B orders tends to be larger because we're supplying products for large projects, and there is more of an ongoing relationship. So those businesses will order on an ongoing basis once we get started with them.
I think that is a really smart strategy. Moving into the site history, what was the trajectory of this business for those first few weeks and months when you began this business? Like, did you start getting customers pretty quick, or was it kind of slow as you kind of learned your way how to do this?
Yeah, look, I do think it was probably a bit more of a gradual start than, a lot of other online businesses see in the e-commerce area. Going back to what I was saying before about, wanting to get in with a low startup cost, I didn't come in and spend a lot of money on, say, advertising or pay-per-click advertising. I built that up over time. So over time, the traffic and sales did build up over the first sort of 3 months, I guess. As well as that, I was also, working a full-time job, as I was saying. So the time that I initially had to spend on the business wasn't huge. And the result of that was that it steadily grew, but it has steadily grown pretty much from then until now, and it's still growing.
That's excellent. Now, I'm sure you learned a ton of lessons since this is your first kind of enterprise, but there's anything you learned from this business that just really, really worked for you, like something that you might apply to your future sites or businesses?
Yeah, look, I think certainly with this type of business, getting product pricing right is a big deal because while, I get good margins on most of our products, they're not exactly the same margins that you would get if you were buying on bulk. So making sure that you're, one, selling products at the right price. So we do focus more upmarket or expensive products in this category, and also making sure that fits in well with the costs of shipping and marketing is very important to making a dropship business successful. And I think sort of over time, I had some mistakes there early on, I think. I was probably selling products either that didn't have the right price or I had the price set wrong. But certainly over the last 18 months, we've fine-tuned that a lot so that now our sales are quite profitable.
Do you have a method for deciding what the price should be, like some kind of research, or is it just kind of based off sales conversions?
Yeah, look, it's a case of I would generally be looking with these products that we sell that they need to be over $200 unless there is the potential to sell, a strong potential to sell more of them, sell more than one at the same time. So, I might sell some products that are, say, $80, $90, but I know from the product characteristics and the type of product that it is that I'm generally going to be selling 3 4, 5, 6 of those at the same time. And how I go through that process is definitely something I can step a buyer through during the handover process.
Yeah, I bet that would be very, very interesting for the buyer. What did you try with this business that didn't work? Anything that just kind of failed?
Yeah, look, I think we did have a few forays into print media advertising, actually, in some niche magazines, and that didn't go so well. That was during 2015, so last year. We didn't get a great result out of those, which is not unusual, but we felt at the time we got a reasonably good offer and wanted to try it out, but the results were pretty disappointing. But largely, to be honest, I think we've got pretty good results along the way. It's more just, I wouldn't really pick out anything that's failed spectacularly. It's more just been an ongoing case of, optimizing, doing small experiments, and slowly over time, incrementally getting our marketing dialed in. And that really is apart from the cost of the goods, the major cost of this business is the time and money that you put into marketing.
Yeah, I could totally see that. Speaking of marketing, moving to traffic and earnings, like what is your breakdown of where your traffic is coming from? Is it mainly organic, or are you mainly running social ads or pay-per-click ads of some kind?
Yeah, so our three main sources of traffic: organic, Google advertising, and we do a mix of product listing ads, text ads, and remarketing ads, and Facebook. So we do Facebook paid advertising, but we also do get organic social media traffic as well, primarily from Facebook once again. So the breakdown of that, I guess, the organic traffic has, as you would expect, slowly been growing over time. It's not an area that we've put a massive effort into, so that definitely is a potential opportunity for a buyer. SEO is not my strong point. I'm much more well-versed in pay-per-click, and so that's kind of naturally where we've gravitated to get traffic. So, I'd say probably at the moment, probably a third or just under a third of our traffic is organic, and then the majority of the remainder would be Google pay-per-click, with the rest being a combination of Facebook paid and organic.
And on the breakdown on the earning type and history, have you found that one certain kind of product has been earning the lion's share for you, or is it kind of spread out across your store?
Yeah, there is one particular category of product on the store that does sell a lot more and is very popular at the moment. But having said that, we do also have more of those products on our store. So that may be a consequence of each other. I've probably put more of those on because they sell well, and they probably also appear to sell better because there's more of them. So, and we do have some newer categories on the store that are starting to show promise as well. So, that may change over time.
Now, do you add products to your site like every month, every week, testing out new drop shipping items, or do you add products rarely? How's your process with that?
Yeah. So the niche has a lot of products in it. So these are not branded products. People do not buy on brand here. They are buying on look and style. And there is a massive amount of potential products that you could list in the niche. So my strategy to date has been that probably twice a year I add new products to the store. Once at the beginning of the year, so the last time I added was over February and March this year, when our suppliers were bringing in new styles for 2016. And then I would do it again around the end of this year, probably November, December, or maybe October. Now, and once again, this is a massive source of opportunity for a potential buyer. There was a distinct correlation between when I added new styles in also an increase in total product numbers in February and March, and we probably increased our amount of products by about 40%. If you look at the sales and the profit since March, you'll see that there is a definite shift up there, and that's essentially because we're giving our customers more options and we're more likely to have that thing that they're looking for.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of sales and earnings, how stable are the earnings? Do you find that month to month the net revenue stays about the same with a gradual increase, or is it pretty seasonal?
Look, I wouldn't call it seasonal as you traditionally might call it, but there are definitely within a 12-month cycle a couple of waves, I guess. So December and January is lower. These aren't gift giving products. So you don't see, as you do with some e-commerce stores, a rush in December in the lead up to gift giving and that sort of thing. So there is a bit of a lull December and January. And because these people are buying these products to go into new buildings that they're building or into renovation projects. And you see a rush to complete those things at two times during the year. One is in the lead up to the end of the financial year, so through to the end of June. And then also there will be a rush through to the start to mid-December. And so what you see is through sort of February to the end of June, there'll be a climb and then a bit of a drop off and then a climb back through to the end of the year.
Now, if you wanted the least risky path to grow this business, let's say you're just going to hold on to the business, you're not going to sell it in this hypothetical. If you wanted the least risky path to grow this business, what would you focus on?
Yeah, I'd focus on adding new products. And, I have a list of, suppliers that I would approach. Once again, something that I would hand over with the business. So I would significantly increase the product offering. And I think I would also start putting more effort into building our organic presence.
And what would you do if you're incredibly risky, just threw caution to the wind and wanted to grow the site as quickly as possible?
There's still significant traffic available in pay-per-click advertising. So we do a lot of that, but we still haven't tapped the entire market there.
So you would basically scale that up, I'm assuming?
Yeah, there's still room to scale that up quite a bit, and it's a big market. In the broader homewares category, it's one of the biggest markets. As I said, these are things that go in pretty much everyone's home.
Nice. It seems like a pretty good answer. Paid traffic would definitely be the riskier version than adding just some new products to the site, right? So as far as risks do go, what do you think the biggest risk to a site like this is?
Look, I think as opposed to some other online businesses like, affiliate sites or something like that, I think there's not one big risk. So there's not the big risk that Google's going to change their algorithm and that's going to cut off our traffic, because we don't rely on organic traffic as such. If our organic traffic dropped a bit, that's not really going to hurt revenue significantly. Increasing pay-per-click costs would make a difference. So that's something that does need to be constantly monitored and optimized to make sure that that's not biting into profits too much. Potentially increased competition in the future could pose a risk, but once again, there is a lot of room to move in this market and a lot of ways to differentiate yourself, I think, from competition. So I don't see that as an immediate risk. And the products themselves, as I said, they're in every home and they're not about to be not in every home. I know that's a double negative, and I'm sorry, but these are not trending products that tomorrow nobody's going to want them. Tomorrow people might want a different style, but you will be able to procure that style very easily.
That is a really good point. Your product is a pretty evergreen product. It's something that every house, like you said, pretty much has in some shape or form. So
that's right. Yeah.
So can you describe the amount and type of work that you're doing on the site to maintain the business? Have you found that your two Filipino staffers take the majority of the work away from you, or do you have weekly and monthly tasks that you're doing?
Yeah, I do have a few tasks that do need to be done, at least semi-regularly. I think the most at the moment, so they do 90% of the work, as I've said. So I don't deal with customers, for example, almost at all, unless I wanted to. So really the main tasks that I am doing now is, one, managing those employees. So that means, I might check in with them once a day to make sure that they don't have, any issues. Do they have any questions that they need a response to or authorization to do anything from me? Once again, that's a quick process. I monitor our pay-per-click accounts. So once again, you might check in on that weekly or bi-weekly to monitor the performance of the ads and, if you need to make any tweaks necessary to do that. I maintain the relationship with our suppliers. Once again, that's a very infrequent thing. That might mean touching base with them once a month maybe or less, And depending on what cycle you're in, I suppose, if you're adding a lot of new products, I have previously outsourced that, so various aspects of that. So, there might be some work with freelancers to get those projects up and running.
Interesting. So you've outsourced the product research for adding the new dropshipping products to your site?
Yeah, so, there's a range of tasks there that we outsource, from image editing, product description writing. So we write unique descriptions for every single one of our products, or we have done to this point, which is something that not a lot of our competitors do. And that is one of our selling points, but I outsource that. And also, gathering other and preparing, the rest of the product data into a form that can be loaded into the store quickly on bulk is something else that we outsource. So once again, I don't physically do most of the work there.
With your two staff members, with them being in another country, do you use some kind of management software with them, like Slack or Trello or something like that?
Yes, we've been using Slack, but they are actually in an office location. So they are locally managed as well as managed by me. So they're not freelancers in the general sense that you might think of a freelancer from, say, Upwork or somewhere like that. They're employed through a business that manages them locally, but I have the ultimate responsibility for them.
And now moving into kind of the wrap-up section here, would you be willing to sign a non-compete for someone that's looking to buy this business? Something that says like, hey, look, I'm not going to go start a business in the lighting fixtures niche right after you buy this lighting fixtures business from me?
Yes. Yeah. No, I don't have any other interests in the niche at this point, and that's not on the cards for me at the moment either, so I would be happy to do that.
And how much support would you be willing to offer a buyer?
Well, I'd be happy to offer, obviously, a detailed handover process, and I was thinking that would probably be 4 one-hour phone calls or Skype sessions, followed by I would offer up to 60 days phone and or email support if necessary.
Now, obviously, the best case scenario here for Empire Flippers and for you is for us to get the full on sales price, the full listing price. But let's say someone came and they said, hey, 70% up front, 30% on closing. Maybe they'll give you 60% up front and 40% over hitting some goals. Would you at all be open to a split or earn out scenario?
Yeah, look, I'd definitely be open to hearing that. I mean, my preference, of course, as you say, would be for the full payout, but I'm always happy to take offers on that and consider those.
Excellent. Now, before I ask you my final question here, John, the hot seat question, if you will, let me do a quick summary again for our listeners out there who are watching this on YouTube or on somewhere else on another video streaming site. So, a quick summary again for this business. It was built in October 2014, has a monthly revenue of $45,580. The expenses are $39,548 with a net profit of $6,032, and that is over a 6-month average. With the sale of the business, the domain is included, the Shopify site, and any paid apps the buyer wishes to retain. An eBay store, social media properties such as Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, Google+, and LinkedIn, as well as the pay-per-click accounts such as AdWords and the Facebook account. And you will also get access to the Gmail business account. So, John, my final question for you is, what is your best pitch in 30 seconds or less on why someone should purchase this business?
Sure. Someone should purchase this business because they'll be purchasing an established site with a proven track record and huge potential to grow sales and profit in a large market. It's going to suit somebody who wants to add it to a portfolio, but it would also be great for somebody who's looking to get into e-commerce in a safe way with low risk.
Yeah, I'd say that sums it up really well. Dropshipping is an awesome way to get into e-commerce with very little of the traditional e-commerce risks. So for the people out there watching this on YouTube, and if you want more information, the link will be below this video and it will take you to our marketplace listing. Now, if you're watching this on our actual marketplace listing and you want more information, you can become a depositor today. It's super easy. All you have to do is click the button, make a deposit, and you'll be given everything you need to review this business. So, John, thank you so much for coming on, man. It was an absolute pleasure.
No problems at all, Greg. Thanks very much.